This might be controversial. I don't think that reaching out to brands you want to work with is the best way to do it. You have to position yourself in a way so that they're going to find you.
That's Ali Mitton, an Australian photographer based in LA, one of my favourite photographers and now a friend. She cut her teeth back in the day with Free People and Angus Stone, then moved on to the No-Retouching pledge with Aerie. She shoots Playboy with the female gaze. She shot Summer Fridays during their global climb and CoverGirl around the clock. What's within you that became your style?
When I was younger, photography for me was a little bit of an escape, but I was really bad at it. But I started shooting. I had $400 and a dream. It's sink or swim, right?
That's an amazing outlook to have.
My time is also money. So you just got to create the work and be aligned. If it's something that is really aligned with your taste, they're definitely going to find you.
Welcome to Process the Podcast, a meeting of creative minds. Let's dive in. So we're live. Ali, how did you begin your photography career? Talk to me about that. Were you always that person or that kid with a camera? Like, what happened? How did this begin that you were like, I am going to be a photographer?
I wasn't very focused at school. It's not like I was a little kid wanting to be a photographer. My high school, I went to Robina High on the Gold Coast, and they had a photography program. And they had like a dark room. And it felt very safe to be like in a dark room and making something with my hands. Yeah, I mean, school was just rough, and being a teenager was rough. And I think photography for me was a little bit of an escape for that. But I was really bad at it. I was terrible. Like, whatever I was producing back then was horrific, and I'm really glad that social media didn't exist the way that it does now. But I was still creating stuff, even though it was, you know, not that great.
What happened when you left school? How did you get from Goldie to LA?
You know, I left and I studied photography. I started with a diploma, like a 2-year diploma, and then I went to QCA. And I ended up dropping out and kind of started shooting just on my own. And I was doing like, do you remember Element and like Billabong?
Yes.
And those kind of surf. And it was at a time, you know, I was shooting film, or I was doing these like heavy filters with like light leaks, and it was just, at that time, it was very, that was what was cool. I won this photo contest for Monster Children, and I was represented by a gallery. This all happened pretty quickly in my 20s. And then Angus Stone reached out to me to do some work for him for his album, and I started shooting for him, and that was just kind of how it started. And then I knew that I had to get out of the Gold Coast, but I didn't really want to go to Sydney. I just thought that I would kind of skip Sydney or Melbourne and go straight to New York, because I don't know, it just sounded like a good idea at the time. And it was a little bit of a disaster because I had, you know, $400 and
a dream,
else.
Girl,
and a dream. But I didn't really know anyone. I knew like 2 people, and I just showed up, and I got a job at a cafe. But I started shooting. Like, I just started kind of testing, you know, like shooting girls on rooftops and street stuff and reaching out to brands. That's when Instagram started to come up, like, for photographers, you know. And I ended up getting a job with Free People to shoot in LA. And that was kind of my first real job. And it was beautiful. Yeah, after that, that's kind of just how it started. And I ended up moving to LA because I just really wanted to be there, and I was doing a lot of like natural light, like beach. I was doing like Urban Outfitters and all this kind of like fashion lifestyle stuff. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. It was really just right place, right time, honestly. It's like a formula, right? There's no one thing that gets you to start. It's always a lot of little things. Like the style I was shooting just happened to come up at that time. It was just a few things lined up, and it all just kind of opened up for me then.
Yeah, the way that Instagram changed and IGTV became a thing, and then they started Reels, that was like an exact parallel of me doing video work, and everyone all of a sudden was like, oh my God, we need so much video. And I was like, I'll do it. I'm here. Take it.
I'm
like, it's right place, right time. But it's also like increasing your surface area. So just sending every fucking email that you possibly can, meeting the people, going to the thing, and then like something will work, you know?
Absolutely. And I think leaving the Gold Coast was really necessary for me to kind of recreate myself, because who I was there, so the stigma attached and like all these insecurities based on whatever. And when you move somewhere else entirely, it's like nobody knows you, so you can become whoever you want to be and be confident in it, and no one's going to question it, you know, where you're not running into everybody you know at the shop. It's like I just showed up, and in America everyone's like, I'm a photographer, even if they're not, and I was like, wow, like people are really like owning these titles, whereas I felt like I had to earn this title. Like I could never do that in Australia. They'd be like, no you're not, mate, like you know what I mean? It's that tall poppy syndrome.
So do you think that's the difference? Like how in the US it's a lot easier to just say that you do what you do and do it with confidence, where in Australia within this industry you feel like you have to earn it? I guess as an upstarter now you wouldn't even think about earning it, but in the beginning.
I'm not sure. I have no idea if anybody knows me in Australia. I have no idea how the industry works in Australia because I really did launch in the States, you know? So I never got to experience that, and I guess part of me always thought that I would go home, but now I'm like, well, shit, I don't know I don't have any relationships, you know, and I've built so much in the States. But I'm so curious to talk to you about what your experience is with it and like how the industry moves over there.
Yeah, it's a beast. I've shot in both. The budgets are better over there, so I'd say stay over there. Don't come home. But yeah, it's
I don't
definitely.
know. Have you been watching the news though? America's
Yes. Yeah, I have. Like I don't know. It's interesting because like people like me say so off the cuff, like, yeah, but I wouldn't raise a family over there. But then like you are. So many of my friends are. And there's obviously a reason for that. So it's a pretty like prickly topic, I think, to get into.
It really is. And I think like it's not ideal. Like me and my husband, he's American, but he's like, man, we got to get out of here. Like we need a 5-year plan kind of thing. So it's always kind of in the back of our mind, but it's hard when you establish a community and you establish like a career somewhere. You're entrenched, you know, but I think that it's fair to say that you wouldn't raise kids there. Australia really is utopia for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
4
Do you
and
have
7.
kids? Yeah, you have kids. 4 and 7. Yeah. So is the plan to come back? Is that where the conversations that you have with your husband, is that the plan?
Right now it's such a hard question because we're so in limbo right now.
Yeah.
But the plus side of that is that we're kind of open to anything. I would love to get an agent in Australia and like be like, hey, like what's going on? But I don't know if that's possible, you know. They'd be like, who are you?
No, I don't think they would. I'll send this episode to a couple and everyone will be like, okay, interesting, let's take a call. It's been crazy how with the pod, how many agents and like people that I really admire, like sometimes I feel like I'm just in a void talking to my own peers at my own level, and then you've got like gatekeepers listening and I'm like, oh my God, hi.
Absolutely not. They need to hear it.
So talk to me then about your style, because if you kind of were just doing this thing and then obviously if you say Angus Stone and you say Free People and you say Urban Outfitters, we can see it, like visually we know what's going on there. So where do you think that style originated from? Because it's very like confidence, freedom, I guess, in the spirit of what you're capturing. What's within you that became your style?
I really think I was just so attracted to environments like outdoors, natural light, like golden light, like that feeling of being like in the elements, you know, like in the environment. And a lot of my work just really included a lot of like sweeping landscapes. One of my favorite shoots was for Wrangler, and we shot it in New Zealand on this road trip, and it was just so beautiful. And it was so about capturing moments and a lot of movement and a lot of fluidity. And that was kind of how I loved shooting. Like I loved being like barefoot and dirty and like crouched in the grass and like, you know, like scrappy, super scrappy. But I evolved out of that. Absolutely. Like where I am now is very different to that. And I think a big part of me misses it. Like how I started as an artist, because I really did become super fixated on like making money and commercial work at one point, and then I was like, oh wait, like I can kind of sell out a little bit and make like a lot of money, you know.
Yes.
It sounds terrible. I'm just being honest.
No, Hannah Scott Stevenson said the same thing. She was doing H&M, I think, in Paris, and she's like, and that's literally how we bought our house in Sydney. Like that's what I had to do. I did a year of that, and now we're here. And now she's just navigating the Australian landscape, which is different. But if you have the opportunity to, I think it's like, I'm the exact same with my Kmart work. Obviously, I'm going to take it, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to be honest, commercial work is so cushy. It's like the budgets are big. They know they're not reinventing the wheel. It's not like high fashion where everyone's looking at what you're wearing. They're just like, hey, let's sell some toothpaste. It's going to be awesome. And everyone's like, great. You know what I mean? It's almost a relief because you don't have to come up with some cool edgy thing. You're literally just like, this is the shot list and I want to give the client what they want. And it's different. Because if I do too much of it, I can feel that ache inside me to create something. And the best work that I do is always going to be the personal work. Like the clients' boards are always pictures of mine that I shot with just me and like a model. And they're like, let's do this. And I'm like, there's 100 people here. Like it's if they knew what went into that moment, you know, it's so much more organic. But I feel like the bigger the job gets, the less opportunity there is to be like spontaneous or organic or candid. You know what it's like. The bigger the job is, the more red tape there is and there's more layers.
Yeah, totally.
It's really just is something very different. I think of it as a totally different job to doing more creative photography work. It's like managing expectations and just giving the client what they really want and making them feel heard.
Can we go back to Wrangler where you're capturing moments and movement in a literal sense? That's so hard to get authentically. What are your like back pocket kind of tools that you use to get people to relax and models to actually like authentically be?
Well, firstly, you need the client to trust you. That's one of the problems, right? Is that sometimes there's this battle where it's like, if you just let me try this thing, I know you're going to love it. Just let me run through the field with them. You know what I mean? And I think this was a job where they were just like, just go, just do whatever you want. There was like 5 of us in a beat up car, like driving it through, doing a road trip. The environment was set up so that we could just capture moments as we saw them, which is very, very rare. There was a shot list, but it was loose and it was kind of like we were chasing the light. That's the dream.
Yeah, when you're chasing the light, it puts this like adrenaline through every single person on set. So everybody comes alive to get the work done. It's so good.
It's so fun.
It's a very unique experience to be like, everyone's there and we're all just like, oh, get it. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's really special. And there's been moments in my career where I still remember like specific shoots where that magic, you know, that magic moment. Only a few years ago, I started to move really heavily into beauty.
So aside from the freedom pieces, then you did Aerie. And what, for the Australian audience, can you explain what Aerie actually is as a brand?
So Aerie was, it's the American Eagle brand for the underwear, like bras and undies and sleepwear. And also like workout wear. It was kind of like an offshoot of American Eagle. And when Aerie launched, it kind of launched with this no-retouching idea behind the campaigns. And they brought me on and I was super green. There was this one creative director there, Summer, she totally believed in me. At that point, I barely knew what I was doing, to be honest. I was like running through fields with a camera, but that's what they wanted, you know? That was the vibe they wanted. That was the energy they wanted. And this is kind of the moment when the industry started to shift and we were seeing more diversity in the casting and like more of like a body positivity movement, you know, like the Dove campaigns that were coming out with all the different shapes and sizes. And it was a really exciting time to be part of that, you know, as a woman shooting women, kind of empowering these young girls that were seeing these body types that like matched their body type instead of just like a tiny model with perfect everything, you know what I mean? And it was really fun. We'd go on these like 7-day trips to like Costa Rica and we'd just shoot and collaborate. It was fun. I did that for actually about 6 years, like every campaign.
Wow. So was it you pushing no retouching or was it them pushing no retouching?
No, it was something they actually came to me with. So it was something they had just established. But it was really aligned with kind of how I liked to shoot because I really did like to keep everything very raw. That actually brought a ton of work in the same vein. But after that finished and I started to go into beauty, beauty had also changed into the same kind of mentality where it wasn't just perfect skin and perfect faces. You know, the beauty industry now is a really exciting space because it really is highlighting like all kinds of people. That's such a fun thing to be part of.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're talking about no retouching, was that hard in the moment as a photographer? Because so much of us in those moments are like, that's not great, but I'll fix it in post. Like, how does that work? Did you have to like really double down to perfect the shot? Or was it more like you were taking portraits and like you weren't removing that pimple? Talk me through the literal composition of shots and how you think about that with no retouching versus just no retouching on the skin.
Honestly, I never shot with it in mind. We just shot moments, and whatever they looked like is what they looked like. The girls kind of knew what they were getting into. Like if there was like cellulite or a roll or something, it's like, well, that was on a billboard in Times Square. Like,
yeah, okay.
That was the beauty of it. There was no premeditated way. We weren't like, oh, well, let's put extra makeup on here because we know we can't retouch. It was always just like, we're just going to shoot it as it is. This is what we're shooting. That was awesome because it's uncomfortable, right? But yeah, it's real. And that was what made it so special, because girls were seeing it and being like, oh my God, she's got cellulite. Like, I've got cellulite. So suddenly it became okay.
I remember it so well, like when all that came out and I was like 24 and I was like, great. Like I know that it was meant for more of a teen, like early 20s market, but even it resonated to me because I was so excited about it. And then it took a while for Australia to see the recoup of your hard work in that way as well. It took maybe, I think it really only hit here in like 2016, 17, but you kicked that off in what year would it have been that you kicked off that work?
I think.
Yeah.
2014, yeah.
So Summer Fridays, you've recently landed yourself in a little bit of a pickle because you shot for them for how many years?
I think like 4 years, yeah.
I will be very honest, and the audience is about to know this. I'm about to do like a big petite episode. I've just come off the back of being the creative director for Anko Global, which is Kmart's brand. One could say I was dropped if we used that language. It was more so that they are based overseas and the taxes that you have to pay in Australia are much more complicated. So our work together became a lot more financially problematic for them rather than creatively problematic. But from one gal that just got dropped to another, like when they change, you're like, wait, what? That's like, and creative teams do change and entire departments come in and go, oh, because I guess they want their stamp on it, right? It happens with CEOs in corporate a lot. And some of my peers have helped me with that, being like, yeah, when a new CEO comes in, usually they change the logo. And to me, that's just like fucking crazy, but that's what people want. They want like a whole redefinition of work. But it feels so funny when you work so hard on the visual identity of a brand and the audience knows it and it's your work, and then you get lifted off a project and they run with in another direction. It's kind of like terrifying, frustrating, heartbreaking, etc. How do we talk about that and that feeling of like giving your all to something and then it not being you anymore? Or like, is that too deep for us to talk about?
No, not at all. I think it's really honest and vulnerable, and you have to keep in from one dropped gal to another because that was the best.
It happens, girl, I'm with you.
So when I was younger, it really affected me. I would spiral. I'd be like, oh my God, of course they've got someone else. They're so much better than me. Or like, I would make it really personal. But the truth is that, man, people are fickle. If you get a run with someone for like a couple of years, like that's amazing. Things change, new people come in, they want to bring in their friends. Creative changes too. Now I'm just like, well, had a good run. I have to let it roll off my back because I shoot so much for so many people, and at some point it's going to go away. You know what I mean? Like everything inevitably ends. Yeah, there's still that sting. And I think what makes it worse is like Instagram, right? Because you're on Instagram and you're like, oh my God, like who's shooting that or whatever. It's like super toxic. Yeah. And I think everyone does that. The older I get and the more established I am, the more confident I am that it's like, I know that I did the best that I could. Yeah. And I gave it everything that I have, and I did really good work. So like, what else can I do, you know?
Absolutely. So when you were working with Summer Fridays, what was the vibe? How did that go? And like you mentioned previously that they gave you so much freedom and they're such a cool team. Like what is it about them as a client that you loved so much?
They were still a very young brand and they were coming up very fast, and they had a really small team, a lot smaller than people would have thought, but it was a tight-knit team, and they were so excited about the brand, and they were so thrilled to collaborate and to create, and they were living and breathing the brand. Like all the girls that worked there were taking pictures of their lip gloss on their coffee. You know what I mean? Like they were the brand, like genuinely. And I think that when you see a brand that is being really honest in who they are, they just were that. They weren't pretending. It's a really special thing. And each shoot I do, it was like bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And now it's just propelled into this huge thing. And I'm super happy for them.
When a client like that has an aesthetic, how do you personally consider reinventing the wheel every time to give them something new and fresh?
You know, their creative briefs were so good. They were so on it. Like their branding was so tight, and I didn't really have any notes. It was like those rare situations where you show up to a set and you're like, damn, like this is epic. Like I agree with all of these decisions. You know what I mean? Like there was never a moment where I was like, maybe we should do this. It was like, nope, you guys have it figured out, you know?
Wow. I was at a dinner recently and someone sitting across from me asking about budgets and like, oh, when you do that work, like what's it like? And like, how do you get those kind of long-term clients? Because she was chasing an invoice for something that was like a one-off, that the person in the end like was just unhappy with the work. And you know, those really difficult clients that are like, just, it's like penny pinching for no reason. And I was like, dude, you're not bad at your job. You're just going after the wrong clients. Like you need clients that shoot all the time so that your calendar fills up. Like it's basically like a quasi retainer that they put you on.
Right.
And I like sing that song to people so much. I'm like, go after the people that have money. Like if you're in a position where you feel like you're not good enough and all of that kind of stuff, like do you ever look at a brand and are like, I want to shoot for them, and then you reach out to them?
You know, it's funny. I personally feel that reach outs are, this might be controversial. I don't think that reaching out to brands you want to work with is the best way to do it. I think that you have to position yourself in a way so that they're going to find you.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
how do you do that?
Create work that speaks to them. Like maybe my agent will send something to them, or maybe I'll work with someone who they work with. Maybe I'll follow the creative director on Instagram and they'll follow me back. A lot of the times when I get a new client that I've wanted for a long time, they're like, oh, we've wanted to work with you for so long. And then so-and-so mentioned you, and then we saw that shoot you did for so-and-so, and it's like, I don't know, I just feel like if people want to work with you, they're going to find you. So you just got to create the work and be aligned. If it's something that is really aligned with your taste, they're definitely going to find you.
You're such a flirt about it. Like, I'm going to follow them, or I'll work with someone that they work with.
Right. No, I just feel like the cold calling thing, or like sometimes I'll be like to my agent, I'll be like, hey, can you, like, I don't want to do it, but I want someone else to do it because I want to still be like mysterious and cool. I don't want to be like, I'm not either of those things, by the way, but I like to pretend I am. Yeah, I'll definitely make a list for my agent and be like, hey, can we like somehow get in here?
Yeah, interesting. How has your relationship been with your agent to do that? Because I think a lot of people feel like that's the agent's job to just know and to go and go and go and go. I personally also have like now talent rep as like a micro influencer podcast host, which is so awesome. Cute of me. Love, Nadine, shout out.
I love that.
That piece, like I'm regularly talking to Nadine about who I want. Like you have to also put that out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you need to be aligned with your agent on what your goals are, because I was with a very commercial agency and they were amazing. I was with them for a long time. But after losing the house, which we can talk about later, I had this big like epiphany of, and it might have been a little bit of a breakdown if we're being honest, but it did make me kind of wake up a little bit and be like, hey, I kind of lost myself in my direction a little bit. Like I just got so caught up in this commercial world, and I really want to pivot back to doing more of the artistic stuff or stuff that makes me feel really fulfilled creatively, even if it doesn't pay. I needed more of that in my life. I think that with an agent, they have to be aligned with who you are and what you want and what your goals are, and really care about that, because I think a lot of agencies just want you to make money. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a hard one for sure, but I think communication is key. I'm on my third agent now, and I feel like I'm in a really good place.
What have you learned about communicating with them?
I think it's just like any relationship. You can't just like have unspoken expectations, you know? Like just being super direct about what your weaknesses are or what your flaws are. Like, for example, I'm really bad at remembering when I have calls, and I'm like, I really need someone to text me like 10 minutes before, because I might miss that very, very important call because I'll get distracted. I have a very short attention span. And they're like, cool, that's just a quirk. I'm not perfect.
Yeah, interesting. So talk to me then about other jobs that have come through for you, like Playboy. How did Playboy happen?
Oh, that was awesome. I actually think I have, it's been a bit of a break, but I think I have another one in the works to shoot in Italy soon. And that's a whole new team. But when it started, it was at the time where they started doing some really cool stuff, and they were shooting with a lot of great photographers. They were shooting with a lot of female photographers. I kind of knew the editor at the time, and I pitched an idea. They just gave me the whole budget to do it. It was really lucky. Like, I knew it was going to work, and I put it all together, and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to a Greek island with my friend who's a model, and it's still one of my favorite shoots. And they were like, wow, that sounds great. Like, here's the money, have fun. And I was like, wait, what? Like, this is crazy. And then I continued that. I did every centerfold for I think 3 years.
Wow. What timing window was that?
I think that was 2018 to 2021. But then, it all changed. Like, the whole team did a big changeover. Editor left. It was all the creative team moved. So it kind of entered a different era at that point, but now it's actually done a whole another change again. And the new creative director just got in touch with me, and I was like, yes, this is awesome. Because the best thing about shooting Playboy is that it's all about the girl. Like, I'm not selling anything. There's no clothes. There's no you can maybe have some accessories, but it's more about having these moments and capturing these environments and having these really poetic or cinematic expressions and shapes and landscapes of the body. And that's just so cool to not have to worry about, everyone's jumping in to fix the product or fix the hair or fix whatever. Yeah. It's just I've got to jumping off a rock into the Mediterranean, and it's awesome. Because the story is her. It's not what we're selling.
Yeah, true. So how does that work for you when you're on set shooting? Obviously, there's got to be a sensuality to a lot of what you do there. Aside from jumping off of a rock, I can imagine that there would be some more confronting nude imagery. But you're doing that in the female gaze, which is so powerful. How do you find that? You're shooting it for the female gaze, but I guess the appetite of it is the male gaze. The viewership of Playboy is the male gaze, right?
I guess so. I think when I came into Playboy, it was a lot more implied nudity. Right. You might see a butt or boobs, but it was never kind of full frontal or anything like that. And it felt a little bit elusive and in the shadows, and it felt more like there was more left up to the imagination, and it felt more editorial. It was I'm a very laid back person, so there's always a conversation about what's your comfort level. I always let the girls choose the photos with me. I thought that was really important for them to have that power. Well, they're naked, of course, it's their body. I don't know if that's normal, but I was just if I was going to be shot nude, I would want to see what's going to go to print.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything that you came up against where they were no, your female gaze it's never going to be incorrect, but did you ever find that you were brushed up against the female gaze for the male gaze? Was there ever any challenges for you there?
To be honest, I felt like I was always shooting for other women. I was never shooting for men. They should be so lucky just to be able to look at it. But I was creating more something artistic and something that felt poetic, not for dudes.
Yeah, fair.
There's other places they can go to get something more explicit, right? But this wasn't that. This was yeah, totally. This wasn't that. This was a little bit more elevated. It was something that people wanted to feel storytelling.
That's so cool. I love that. So talk to me then about the work that you've done with CoverGirl and how that long-term relationship stands. I think to go back to what we touched on before about the importance of long-term relationships, not only for our bank accounts and for our confidence as creatives, but nurturing those relationships and making sure that obviously we have to charm the pants off these people to get them to hire us again, and the work has to be good. But how do you go with the longer term relationships? If we were to use CoverGirl as an example, how long have you been shooting with them for?
I think it's been about 3 years. So CoverGirl is a legacy client, And legacy clients are like, you know, like I've shot for Clairol or like Maybelline or some of these brands that are like household names. They have a formula and they know that it works. And there's a lot of layers to it. It's like the people that I work with, and then they've got a boss, and then they've got, you know what I mean? So it's a very specific formula. And I think they're hiring me not to come in and be Ali Mitton and be totally chaotic without shoes on and shoot film. They're hiring me because they like my style, but they also know that I'm going to listen to them and give them what they want. Like, I understand the formula. I understand that they have specific needs, and I can sprinkle in my style, but ultimately it is the creativity the collaboration that we do together is going to be something that leans more heavily into what they know works and what they really need. They're not looking to recreate or rebrand. It's more just like, let's make these images beautiful. Let's stick with the cover girl, like branding, you know?
Yeah, so usually it's like the same kind of aesthetic and look. It's just different talent usually, right? And they're just basically renewing the product that you're focusing on, or renewing the contract of who the face is.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, sometimes there's different things, but it is very like, there's a lot of blue sky. It's very optimistic and positive, and you know, there's still ways for me to bring in some moments that feel more candid, but they've got a system, man. It's like a beast. Like, these brands are enormous, and being part of it's really exciting because it is like, there's like a million people, you know, it's a totally different energy. It's a different thing. It's like they want to work with people that understand the brand and are gonna not fight them on what they want.
What sort of faces do you shoot for those brands? Like, what sort of, are you on celebrity talent, or are they usually models?
It depends. It's different for every project.
What sort of celebrity have you shot for them?
No, I haven't done any celebrity for CoverGirl, just their campaigns.
How do you find it working with celebrity just in general on shoots versus talent, like just model talent?
Well, I have been avoiding celebrity for a very long time.
Why?
It was more just like the culture around it and like the entourage that would come, and there were a lot of egos, and I would get so anxious because I'm so laid back, right? And there's like a publicist and they're like, don't shoot her left side. And I'd be like, what? There was just a lot of tension. And also I think maybe deep down my ego was like, well, this isn't my show. Like, I have no power. I'm just kind of being pushed around a little bit. And it's not to say that all celebrity shoots are like that, and it's rarely the celebrity, it's usually just the people that come with them.
Isn't that so interesting? They don't ever say to you, hey, don't do this. It's always like a whisper in the ear, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, and I'm a person that always wants everyone to be happy on set.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that I enjoyed doing, but I will say that now I'm doing more of it because I've grown up a little bit and I've got thicker skin and I know how to manage people a lot better. But when I started, I was like mortified. I was like, oh my God, they hate me. Or like, I'd get really like nervous, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of like, okay, let's go. Like, I'm totally confident. I know what I'm going to do. I know how to communicate. I'm not intimidated by publicists anymore.
Yeah, I'm in a very similar position. I've started doing a lot of work for Vogue, and they'll put me on things with celebrity, and it's always like to sell a product usually. And then I'm like, okay, like cool. And then it's really exciting, and like you walk in, but then I realized that as the director, everything lives and dies with me. And then you just like are on in such a way that you're like, they've got 7 minutes, get the shot. And you're like,
yeah.
I hate it and I love it, and then I hate it and I love it. And then the work gets done. What's remarkable is as soon as you, as a creative, as soon as you put a famous person on your own feed, it fucking blows up and you're like, oh, okay, cool. It's so weird.
Absolutely. I did this big celebrity shoot a few years ago and it was everywhere. It was on buses, it was on billboards, and it was like a super traumatic shoot, and every time I saw it I would like, everyone was like, wow, so cool that you did that, and I was like, yeah, it was really great, but it was I think I cried after that shoot. It was gnarly, like so gnarly. But I just did a cover shoot a couple of days ago I just did a cover shoot a couple of days ago with a celebrity, and she was awesome, and everyone was awesome, and it was lovely, and it was a beautiful day. So, you know, it's not always like that.
No, not always. I love that you've had that experience too, where publicists are just on our asses. So funny.
I think everyone feels like that in LA. It's just that nobody says it out loud because, you know, nobody wants to spill the tea or like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Everyone's like, everything's great. It was awesome. Yeah. It's like, blink twice if you're okay.
So funny. Yeah. Okay, so you also have other brands that you own, 2 of them, which is crazy, by the way, to have 2 brands, but they're not similar, but they're very you. Talk us through your other entrepreneurial pursuits.
So we have the Caster House, which is a shoot location in LA. We started that a few years ago because I was shooting in all these different locations and there was definitely a demand for something that felt very kind of Mediterranean, something with a lot of blue sky and white walls. Yeah, we started renovating that about 4 years ago and it's kind of its own business. And then I have Velvet Canyon as well and Lou Goldie, which is the little sister of Velvet Canyon. I have that with 2 friends. It is great and it really grew really organically.
So when you go through Lou Goldie and Velvet Canyon, are they both eyewear brands?
Yeah, sunglasses.
How did you guys land on sunglasses?
My business partner, Beck, she worked for an apparel company and it was really her idea. Her and her sister Cass are my business partners and they had this idea to do eyewear. There was just a shortage of good eyewear that was kind of more vintage inspired, more classic frames. Like it just didn't really exist. We started researching that and started doing that and then I just kind of came on as a third part owner and do a lot of the creative and the shoots and that kind of thing as well. So it's really fun because we do everything and the campaigns look awesome, but it's just because we're all wearing all the hats, you know?
Yeah. Is it just like creativity for creativity's sake sometimes? And I guess it's like there's no one breathing over your shoulder being like, get the eyewear in the da-da-da. It's like obviously we're selling sunglasses, but you get to do it your way.
Totally. Yeah. And we get to experiment. It's really fun, actually. It's been a really fun side project. I think me and Beck both had babies and we kind of fell off a little bit, but I feel like we're kind of entering a new era, coming up with a little bit of a rebrand. So that's exciting.
So how much pressure do you guys put on yourselves as friends to like sell the glasses, build the dream, make it incredible?
None. It's really, I mean, there's definitely pressure, but not really with each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is great.
For sure.
No one's like, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. It's like we're all kind of pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, for sure. So talk to me then about LA and you losing your home in the fires. 2 parts to it, the literal like displacement and how that is going, how it went, what people didn't understand. And then also you mentioned that you had like a creative reckoning afterwards and sort of questioned everything and threw a few things out the window. So the LA fires, when was that? Last year, early in January?
Yes. Yes, it was last year in January. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So obviously we saw all of that unfold on the news, but you very quickly were one of the only people that actually was on my feed being like, we don't have a house anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of fear from a lot of people's accounts, obviously being like, okay, we're here, like we've watered down everything, da-da-da-da-da, we've moved for the night, but yours was so heartbreaking because it was like, and we lost our house. So I guess talk me through the displacement of that and what that felt like.
Our house, actually, we bought this mid-century house on the edge of a canyon and we had it set up as a shoot location as well. So it was a business. Actually, the day it burnt down, Forever 21 was shooting there. There was like a shoot at the house. But I was out of the house and my husband saw the fire coming and left. He just grabbed our documents and then we kind of went to a hotel and we were like, oh, I'll just go back later and, you know, get our stuff. And like overnight, it was like 9,000 houses. So it was like, you know, the kids' schools, all our neighbors, all our friends. It was a lot. It was surreal, actually. Like, I just went out for the day and then just didn't go home. And all we had were, like, the clothes on our backs. And that was wild. Because I was in Target, like, with a shopping trolley being like, at, like, 11 p.m., like, oh, well, I guess we need everything. And I was actually on the news in Australia. Someone over there got onto it, and Channel 9 or something reached out. It was like the day after. They just did this interview with us where we looked really sad and tired. Every ex-boyfriend I ever had reached out to see if we were okay. So I guess all of Australia saw it, you know?
Yeah, epic.
The displacement has been pretty gnarly. Like, we're still very much in it. You know, the insurance is a battle. We're in a lawsuit against Edison. Also, like, when your house burns down, you still have to pay your mortgage.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. There's all this stuff that it's very boring and very depressing. And it's like the most adulting I've ever had to do in my whole life. Thank God for my husband, who's just so onto it, because it's very, very complex. But we're good. We're going to be okay. We're rebuilding. We're hopefully going to get our insurance money at some point. Now I'm realizing that the life we were living in LA with our dream house and, you know, with the way that our lives were, it was very high stakes. Like, our cost of living was exorbitant. I was burning out, like shooting constantly, trying to keep our head above water, like to maintain this standard of living, right? And so when we lost everything, it was kind of like we had a moment to just be like, well, what do we want our lives to look like? And I was like, you know what? I don't actually fucking want to work that much, maybe. Actually, I want to go back to doing stuff that makes me feel really fulfilled. And actually, maybe we should go somewhere else entirely and learn a new language or something. Like, it's very rare that people get an opportunity to do something like that as a family, especially when you have kids, because you get really entrenched. But when you lose it all, you've got nothing. You've got like a bag. So you're like, maybe we should go to Spain. Maybe we should, you know what I mean? There's something really liberating about that. And I think I've lived in a lot of different places. My husband has too. So for us to pivot, try something else, is very us anyway. Like, I don't think a lot of people would have it in them to do that, but I think we're kind of nomadic people at heart. It hasn't been easy, but I do think in the long run, we're going to be better off for it.
That's an amazing outlook to have.
It's sink or swim, right?
Absolutely. So did your work change at all in the moments where you have had the opportunity to shoot differently and shoot on your terms?
Not really. That's kind of all dawning on me now, because after the fires, of course, I just threw myself into work. Like, I think I was back at work like 5 days later in New York, and I was on like a job, like a diamond company, and I was still wearing like the clothes. Like, I still smelled like smoke. Like, it was so surreal. And I was on this big set, and I was like listening to them talk, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I was still in complete shock, you know?
Yeah.
And all the nitty gritties of like, well, maybe we should, you know, do this, or maybe we should bring in the chair or whatever. And I was just like, wow, like, how surreal is it when you go through something big and then you enter back into our world that's like, it's just a very weird world, advertising, because like there's so much importance placed on the nitty gritties of like how to sell something, right? And it's a very big contrast when something's going down in your personal life and you're like, holy shit, like this so doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, you know?
And it's remarkable when you just look at that and then you're going through something quite existential to what you're used to, and it's like a complete vortex of, yeah, let's sell 4,000 bubble wands. And then you do it and you're like, because you just do it on autopilot, and then the shoot ends and you're on adrenaline, and then it's only until you're not stimulated at all anymore and alone in a room that you're like, wow. It's so weird.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I took from it while I'm thinking about it is when I got into this kind of cycle of ad work, I realized that I was kind of, a lot of the time I was on autopilot and I wasn't really invested in a lot of the projects. I was just jumping on from one to the next. Sometimes I wouldn't even look back at what I'd shot for like months. Like, it was so back to back. And when all this happened, I was like, I really want to create work that's honest and has intention behind it, because it shows, right? I don't want my name to be tied to a project that I wasn't invested in. And I think after the fires, I really want to make a conscious effort to kind of go more above and beyond and be a lot more honest in my approach and in my communication, and try to choose jobs that feel more intentional to like what I want to shoot, instead of just taking things because I need the money. It is a luxury to think that way. This situation kind of really prompted me to readjust my mindset around that and how I approach work.
So how do you begin that? Are you talking to your agent to be like, let's chase down these clients that are a little bit more authentic to your natural style, or where do you start with that?
I think it starts from saying no, which is so hard for me.
Yeah, I'm like, girl, you've got a mortgage on a house that doesn't exist. Like, how are you going to say no?
I know. And it's like, it's not something that happens overnight. This is kind of like a long term. This is like a direction I want to go in, right? Like sometimes I have this scarcity mindset because we didn't grow up with a lot of money. So even like a low rate in our industry is still like so much money compared to what other people earn. So when I'm turning down jobs because they don't come up to my rate, I still have that feeling of like, oh, who do I think I am? You know what I mean? Like, how could you do that? It's still that imposter syndrome, I think. But I'm slowly like trying to kind of just say no to things that I know aren't going to serve me long term. It's just short-sighted to just choose something for the money because my time is also money and my time is time away from my family, right? Unless it's something that starts to make me feel inspired or that I know that I can do so well. I can't just be taking like every single thing anymore. And also they're not getting the best of me. You know what I mean? Like it's not fair to the client. Imagine me rocking up and like not really caring but just pretending to care, even though I don't do that. Like obviously I always care, but it's not like part of me is going to be in it, right? They're not going to get the Ali Mitton that they are signing up for.
Yeah, I get what you mean. So what is it, if we were to imagine something that did like light you up and serve you and be a job that you really wanted, what would that look like?
Well, I mean, I do jobs like that and it always stands out to me. I just did this job for Ilya and I'm doing another one next week actually, but the one I just did was like, this creative director was just like, I just love everything you do and I really want you to do what you think would be awesome for this campaign. And I was like, well, what about if we shoot film? And she was like, awesome. And I was like, okay. Well, what about if we shoot 16 millimeter for the video? And she was like, yeah, totally. And I was like, what?
Great.
What do you mean? What do you mean, yes? You're supposed to say no.
Yeah, or like challenge me. Tell me there's no budget. What are you talking about?
Right. And their creative vision is so aligned with mine. And so it feels like this very exciting collaboration where I throw an idea out and they're excited and they have an idea and I'm excited. And I think I just want more of that. Like I want to go more after things that are really aligned with how I shoot and what my style is. And it's not like that doesn't exist. I think I just have to be more intentional with how I'm marketing myself because I think sometimes when we take everything, it could almost cheapen us as artists because then the clients are seeing that work and, you know, there's a lot of work that I don't show, obviously, just like all of us. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant.
No, I think it's really important to realize that everybody, even at your level, is often we're hired as a gun for hire. And it's like, okay, because technically we know exactly what needs to happen. We have beautiful personalities that people are like, she will be a nice energy on set. And then it's sort of all that we are gets milked for us knowing exactly how to create what you need to create. But is it something that we would create if you didn't hand it to us? No. And I think that I'm very big at the moment as well on post-ANCO in this era that I'm stepping into. It's literally day 4 of me not having the most cushy contract of my career. Although there was like despair in that, I've also had to rearrange a bit of my purpose in it because I financially was able to do more for the people around me than I've ever been able to do. But I like to think of it like sports teams. Like I have people on my team that are really good at catching the balls that I throw out as the quarterback and they run them home. Like I can just set something and say something and set a task and then they'll catch it and take it home. I want to be working with clients now that let me be a quarterback and just throw the ball out and it gets caught by the teams around me to bring it home because, as you said, like it's so refreshing when clients are like, yeah. It's so rare.
Yeah, that's such a great analogy. I have a question. I don't know if you have this thing happening lately, but you work as a director, I work as a director.
Yeah.
Sometimes the client will come with a concept and they're like, we're going to do this, and this. You know, you do the treatment. They come with the concept. You do the treatment. You do the storyboard. And you do a storyboard for like a 2-day shoot. And they're like, actually, we're going to do it. We're going to do it in 1 day. And it's like, you say yes to a project based on the original brief, but then the brief changes after you've said yes, but you've already said that you can do it. And I find myself in situations lately where like the shot lists are getting just so insane. You know, I've got an amazing team. We can get a lot of shit done in a short amount of time, like literally magicians. But when it comes to motion, it's like I'm looking at these storyboards and I'm like, guys, we're not allocating enough time. Like, this is one take per shot and you're giving us like 5 minutes per shot. Like, I can't, this isn't possible. So now when I see this, I'm just like, I'm not doing it, because I'd rather not take the project and lose the money than do the project and not do a good job. And I'm just curious, like, do you get that as well? Is this something that's just happening? Because I feel like I'm seeing it a lot more now.
Yeah, definitely. They're changing the expectations of deliverables as well. They'll be like, oh, like if it's like a high profile event and there's a lot of deliverables for a shot on cinema cameras, but the deliverables have to be out. They say to me, we've got a 5 business day turnaround. And then they say, can we have it by midday the next day? And I'm like, but that's only 3 business hours. Like, what are you talking about? So they change it and they're like, but the client's going to want to rush edit. And I'm like, yeah, but you haven't briefed in, or like, I don't have anybody on track to edit this on the graveyard shift. Like, I can't, unless you guys pay for that. Like, I can't operate like that, because then also, yes, someone edits on the graveyard shift, but I have to be awake for all of those hours to give the feedback, because I can't deliver V1 at midday the next day. I've got to deliver V4 because I've got notes, because the editor hasn't been on this project at all since the beginning of the brief. The editor's literally just ingesting the footage, and this is the first time he's ever seen any of this. So there's a whole thing happening there. I also think that there's got to be a bit more training and awareness from the people that are organising these shot lists and building the shoots, because they're not thinking in the most optimised, clever way. They're like trying to get as much out of us as possible. I did a petite episode called Shoot Architecture, and how to actually architect a shoot to get the most out of it. When they tell us they need like 30 looks in a day, what do you mean? Like, where's all that work going? And is that actually worth it? They need to be looking at the content fatigue more, and like, okay, well, this look will go online, and then like this won't go on socials, this will only be e-com, so that could actually be shot by like another photographer over there. We don't actually need Ali to shoot that. Like, they need to be a little bit more smart on where all of these assets are going before they create these shot lists, so that they don't exhaust us, they don't overshoot, and our teams aren't just run dry. Because at the moment, it's kind of like the shift, I think, in every industry where everybody panics, like AI right now, everyone's freaking out and firing people, but then realizing how expensive it is. And the same with like podcasting, everyone's trying to get video on Apple, Spotify and YouTube, all optimized at the same time, but no one's opening up their API keys, so nobody can speak to get to each other. And it's like, I think the next 6 months I'm hoping creative industries will catch up on like, how much do you really need? And do you really need me to shoot that in 5 minutes? Is this really important? Or to your point of having 5 minutes, I have started to work with more videographers and less cinematographers on those days, because my cinematographers, I'm hurting their ego by giving them 5 minutes. Yeah. Whereas my videographers are already in autofocus. They'll just shoot whatever the fuck I put in front of them, and they're happy to do it. And their integrity and their ego is kind of like, Ariel said to go, so I'm just going to go. Whereas the cinematographers are like, this is not lit properly. Or, you know, like they're really
they take a lot of pride in their work.
Yeah, so
totally, it makes sense.
Yeah, like where possible, I know I can't hire one of my favorite DPs for a celebrity event job, because he will take too much time, and the PR agency will get really pissed off at how long he's taking to get the shot ready, because it's not like that, you know. At the same time, they're not expecting cinema work by giving me 5 minutes per shot. They're expecting great video work. They're not expecting something's going to like break the internet. They're just expecting video coverage of what they've put in front of me. So I think I'm personally managing the expectations of that, asking for more time, obviously. When I don't get it, then I'll reverse engineer it to have a team that can handle 5 minutes rather than pissing everyone off.
That's smart. I mean, you're right. It's managing expectations, and it's like, it's under promising and over delivering. Like, I'm never going to do the opposite, because I can't cope with letting someone down. You know what I mean?
And that's so hard, right? Because in the treatment, we are over promising because we have the vision, and then they sign off on it, and then they give us 5 minutes to get it. And you're like, that's not what we agreed.
Right. Totally. Yeah. It's a really tricky thing to be doing. It's really hard.
We need to be smarter with our gaffers and grips and asking them earlier on, okay, this is the reference for the photos, this is also the reference for the video, so how can you light me in a way that we don't need to have a change here? And then also working with models and casting, and in the casting process, making sure that they're used to video in their experience as well, not so that we don't have to do any coaching in that. We're not like, okay, now just move more fluidly. No, like this is not a photo. Like you're not going bang, bang, bang with your moves. Like having people that know how to move fluidly in video is helpful. And then also setting up, priming all of your creatives on set to be more hands off in the video piece, because no, you can't move that piece of hair on the video. It's there, just let it go. You know, and like really having those hard conversations, which is a shame because I love it when everyone is so invested. But at the end of the day, I think doing the work in the pre removes that strain from my nervous system of like, do they think I'm a bitch?
So smart.
I'm very used to doing the hard yards now in pre to make sure that I don't come across as too snappy or too, everybody knows how hard this is going to be. I just don't want my nervous system wrecked.
And that's really smart. That's really good advice. I don't do as much video as I do stills, so I always find myself like paralyzed with anxiety in those situations.
Do you like directing?
I do like directing, but I want to direct like fun little short films and stuff where I can just make decisions in the moment. When it comes to directing, I'm not as strong with directing as I am with stills, because directing requires a lot of planning and really being specific about the shots. And I'm a very chaotic, fluid person who likes to see how I feel in the moment, or like see what the light's doing. The way that it works with directing is like there's no space for that, especially now with all the shots. It's like it's very, very specific. And I think that it's just something that I don't do enough of, but I can do it and I can be specific, but I don't find it as, I find it very restrictive. Like it's not as fun for me because my attention span's very, I'm like, well, why don't we shoot this over here instead? And the DP's like, no, that's not what we're doing. Stay focused.
Yeah.
Like,
I think, well, it probably would like benefit from you maybe booking less of a DP and more of like a videographer who's used to that. Like I love videographers that shoot run clubs are my thing right now, because those guys have gear, they think so quickly, and they're used to something's over there, get it. And the coverage that you get when you work with videographers like that is so much more susceptible to us being like, I don't know what this is, but we're gonna make it a thing. Like, because sometimes you don't know and you want to feel that like, what should we get? Not sure. Okay, let's make it up together. You want to be met with that energy. Same as when you have a digi, or like same as chemistry wise as when you have your favorite hair and makeup artist that just, or stylist, like you just trust them to work with you. Even what I'm finding now is like, there's this really great guy, Reese, who I loved working with. When the client loves to think I'm not doing anything because Reese is shooting something. So just because I'm standing there watching Reese, I'm trying to imagine what he's getting. And like I'm looking at what he's getting. So that's me working. But because I don't have a clipboard or a tool in my hand, I must not be working. So they pull me aside for a chat to be like, hey, so thinking about this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, hey. And then I turn around and I'm looking at, and in my head, I'm like, fuck, I hope Reese goes and gets that disco ball with the reflection on it over the logo for the client, or like whatever. In my head, I'm like, I hope he gets it. And then I turn around and he's already gotten it. And it's like, it's that thing where you need to find people that have the same eye and will just overshoot because they know how stressed you are. Almost like the sporting analogy, like we need to be working with people that know that when a client pulls you, it's a shame and like they can't ask you a question in that moment. So just overshoot it anyway, because hopefully something will come from it. I love it when they have that attitude, and I find it really helpful because we are in a really difficult dance of way too much being asked of us. So finding people that will help you look good in those moments is also great.
Yeah, so smart. I think moving into beauty was similar to when I was shooting a lot of the body positivity stuff, in that, like, you know, 10 years ago I wouldn't have been interested in shooting beauty because it all looked the same. But I feel like in the last, I don't know, like 3 to 5 years, beauty and skincare and all that stuff has just had such an upward swing. I mean, it is a very oversaturated market, but it's also a really exciting market because there's so much going on, and there's so much in like the casting, you know, the product design and the environments and the way that people are coming up with different ideas to shoot beauty is just like, it's so much fun. And it's also working within this space that's like very small and controlled. It's like world building on a face instead of like a big environment, which is like, I think that's great. Like gapped teeth and freckles and, you know, older models, and just being part of this era of beauty is really fun. Although I will say I feel like it's kind of digressing a little bit.
You were mentioning that it's castings going back to the early 2000s. Are you seeing that across, obviously, Ilya, Tower 28 that you work for, and like OPI? Like, why is that happening, and what are you seeing?
I mean, I don't think with those specific brands that it is, but I think that in fashion and in pop culture now, and with, you know, the movement of like Ozempic, I don't know how to put my finger on it without getting political, but I do feel like there is a little bit of a regression with the beauty standards, right? Like I feel like we came so far and now it feels like it's going a little bit, it's like, you know, 4 steps forward, 3 steps back a little bit, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's the stimulus that that generations are taking in is everyone's trying to go analog back to early 2000s, where we had flip phones and everybody still shot on like little yucky Sony cyber shots, and the jeans were a certain way. Like our stimulus is craving nostalgia, and because you've got people like you and I in the power seat creating these shoots, that's where we fell in love with imagery during that era and a little bit.
Totally.
So our eyes are kind of trained to that. So when a shoot gets created and the keyword is nostalgia, we don't think of a curved model with freckles and a gap tooth. We think of Kate Moss. So let's find the next Kate. So I think it's just, we need to probably contextualize, yeah, cool, that's the vibe. But those all shapes and sizes also existed during that time. So what did they look like and how do we bring that to life? We just have to find a way for both of those things to work in harmony, I think.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of beauty brands are doing that. And I actually love the early 2000s aesthetic. I love that it's showing up. It's so much fun, like seeing all this stuff, just the fashion and the colors. Like there's a lot more color being used now. And I feel like it's fun. It's a really fun time to be in beauty as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you most excited about shooting in the next couple of months?
I have a shoot coming up with a very well-known hair care brand and a very well-known athlete, which is going to be great because it's going to be very kind of filmy and nostalgia, and we're going to shoot it on 16 millimeter maybe. I think that that's a really cool way to look at athleticism with a more romantic lens.
Yeah, so good. And then my recent favorite thing to do on the pod now is to go through someone's Instagram and be like, pick a photo and tell us how you brought that to life. So let's whip up your Insta. Let's do this one.
Oh, okay. So I had a shoot, and straight after the shoot, the makeup artist is a friend of mine, and I asked the model and the makeup artist if they just wanted to fool around for a minute and like take some fun shots. Yeah. So this wasn't even a shoot. I did all of this in about 10 minutes. Literally just at the end of the shoot started to just play. And it was awesome because everyone else had left and we were just like...
That's the best.
And it's awesome, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the best work is always just, I don't know, a few minutes, the right moment. It was really cute. And I love these shots. They got a lot of love.
Yeah, so good. Let's talk about Kristen Bell with Estee.
Oh, yeah. So that was for the advanced night repair serum. And it was like, I think I had about 7 minutes with her.
Oh.
And this bottle. It's super cute. It's like she did an ad for them. I was brought on to take some stills. Yeah, it was more just like jumped in, took some stills. It was very cute. The one above it of the girl in the blue, Annalise, near the palm tree, she's actually an Aussie model. And I shot this for Lou Goldie on my own. I did the styling. I produced it and I shot it. And we got on a boat. Yep, that was the campaign.
I love that. Where were you?
In Mexico. Actually, this was right near where I live, like down the road.
It was Nat Darkus, the friend that made me aware of your work when she started spending time in LA.
Oh, really? I love Nat. You know, during COVID, when nobody was allowed to shoot, me and Nat shot Free People together like 3 times a week at my house because she lived with me, and remember they weren't allowed.
Oopsie.
Yeah, so they like sent the clothes and we'd just like steam them and she'd do her own makeup and we'd shoot like it was awesome. It was so much fun.
Yeah, Nat is one of my oldest high school girlfriends, and I love her to death. Hi, Nat, if you're listening to me and Ali have a yap right now. Okay, let's talk about this Summer Fridays shoot then, because you've done so much work for them.
Oh, yeah. That was for the skin tint. That was a big day, multiple models. Super fun. Like, they have really good casting. I really like their casting. What can I say about it? It was just a great day.
It's beautiful.
Using continuous light, which I love using. I prefer over strobe, honestly. I always try to include a lot of movement, you know, in the hair, even if I'm shooting like this much of the face. Really fun day.
Do you shoot wide and then crop?
No, I don't. I hate doing that. I mean, I do for some clients, but usually the shot that you're seeing is the frame that I take it in. But there are a lot of clients that are like, oh, can you shoot wider and then we'll crop in? But I feel like there's never the big reaction when it's shot like that, because then you got to use your imagination for when it's cropped in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, last one. Talk to me about Aubrey Plaza for Cosmo.
Oh, that was really fun. So that was a couple of years ago now. We shot that at this really weird location in North Hollywood, like this kind of broken down hotel. And she was awesome. It was a pretty chill day, actually. She was super funny. Yeah, had her kind of bouncing on the bed. We took Polaroids. It was an awesome shoot. I really loved that shoot, actually.
Did you know this was going to be the cover when you shot it?
No, I think we had something else slated for the cover and we just loved that one so much. And I don't think it was planned. I think I just was like, okay, let's do one lying on the bed and I'll stand over you. And it would, you know, and it's like, it ended up being a really fun one.
It's always the ones that are not planned, isn't it?
Yes, and it's always when you say, can I just try something? And they're like, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. Where can people find you and find your work?
It would be alimitton.com or Ali Mitton on Instagram.
Amazing. I'm so glad
Thanks
that we
for having
had
me.
the chance to chat. I know, so fun, and I'm so glad that now we're friends. Yay!
Yes, me too. Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks, Joel. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is a Tom production recorded on Aboriginal land.